Hot 97, number one for hip hop. What's going on, y'all? I'm Mia Bell. And as we are always celebrating Blackness and, of course, creativity, I have a special guest in the building all the way from Toronto, designer, creative director, Sean Brown. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. It's nice to meet you.
Just for those who are meeting you for the first time, you have a homeware line that's inspired by the culture, of course.
Yeah.
Curves by Sean Brown.
Yes.
And over the period of the time during the pandemic, I kept seeing the CD rugs everywhere. And after your New York Times interview came out not too long ago in January, I believe, is when I was like, hold on, the background here is extensive. I have to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And then from there, here we are now. So I want to take it back.
Yeah.
To like the beginning of your career and your first entry into music, because that's kind of how it all started, even in streetwear. So take the floor and tell me where it started.
It started high school, obviously. I guess it would have started like the beginning of high school. I'm reading like all these magazines, The Source, Double XL.
Of course.
And I'm going like it's summer of grade 8 and I'm going into grade 9. So freshman, I guess you guys call it here. But I'm going into grade 9 and I'm just like enamored by all these Black brands coming out, like urban fashions, like on the come up and on the cusp of like becoming like this huge $1 billion industry.
Right.
So I'm seeing all that. I start making like t-shirts, airbrush t-shirts, all that kind of stuff in school. And then I drop out of high school. I do a year at fashion college. Now I'm going to start to expedite it. I do a year at fashion college. And then I start this men's streetwear brand. And I start interning at this store called Ransom.
Okay.
And then I get a job at this another place like within this complex. We basically had like our own little Soho starting to happen like back home in Toronto, where it was like 4 stores in one. It was Stussy, Ransom, Goodfoot, the store called Goodfoot, and then Nomad, where I worked. And I had an internship there, started working there, and then I started doing a traveling thrift store with a few friends back home. And then from there, I started a men's sportswear line. I got a look in GQ like really, really early in 2013.
Hold on, I'm going to stop you right there because within the time that you dropped out of high school and this GQ situation happening, how much time in between?
That's probably like a decade.
Okay, all right. So it's
like
a lot of work being put in.
Yeah. It's just me like figuring out like who I am artistically, what I want to do with my life, like just sticking to the fact that I wanted to be doing creativity, like, you know, and wherever it took me. I think that those cultural checkpoints and nuances that are in the work now were just always there. They were just being navigated naturally, like however I was going to end up, you know, finding that way. Like it just kind of happened naturally because the men's sportswear line led me to the music industry.
Right.
So I put like fashion design on the back burner for a bit. And then I thought I was going to Coachella like March 2020, April 2020.
Really?
And then Coachella got canceled.
Yeah.
And then we're just stuck in the house and then we just started doing home decor. So the rugs and then everything else, the hands, the bedding, the shower curtains.
And that's where that happened. Now, talk to me more about your work in the music industry as a creative director and a visionary.
Yeah. Well, I met Daniel Caesar when I was doing the clothing line.
Okay.
Like 2014. So we start working together and then like his second EP and then Freudian. And then second album, and and then other artists too. Like I knew SZA. I met her on Facebook like long ago. So just working with like from photography to directing music videos, styling, making costumes for artists. Like, yeah. So I just was using the skills that I had in fashion, from fashion into music, and then ended up just finding my way.
So it's almost like, hold on, Sean could do this. Wait, Sean could do this too. So let's...
Or in some ways it would be like I was doing one thing.
Yeah.
So I was doing photography because like I wanted the photos to look a certain way. So I started teaching myself like how to use a film camera. And then I want a film camera to auction. So I started doing photography.
Wow.
And then with directing, when we're all working on Danny's first album, like we couldn't find a director to like get the ideas to look like the way we wanted. So then it's like me and another guy came on. It's like, yo, okay, we're just going to be the directors then. So it would happen like that. It would just naturally be like out of necessity. Like we should just do this or we should just apply ourselves to learn these skills to like navigate through it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because so many people think that you have to have some sort of formal training in
Yeah.
order to get in those rooms when really it's all about passion,
Right.
hustle, and of course, putting the time
Right.
forward to learn the craft as much as you did to be able to have that platform to
Exactly.
execute, right?
Yeah, because I think it's just like if you care about it enough, like if you love something enough to learn how to do it, to be good at it, then you can like apply yourself, and then that's all that's really like required. And we're living in a time where you like the formal training and process of things aren't as important to get
Right.
where you need to go. Like you have YouTube, you
Right.
have all these things where you can kind of do the self-educating and figure out these skills and kind of bring them out of yourself and then apply yourself to get things done.
What was the driving force behind that self-education though? Because we have so many like worldly things that get in the way where people are like, damn, I got to pay these bills or I have to do this or I can't do that. So I don't have the, the want to really self-educate, or they feel like they can't because of everything else that's happening. So what was the driving force for you? Do you have like a really supportive family that like, really pushed you to go about the route that you wanted to? Or
At the time, like I'm coming from like group home foster care system, so
wow.
for me it was more.
That's really important to know because
Yeah.
when people are watching and they're trying to learn, they want to know the background of the person to see if it relates to them in any way.
Right.
Because it gives inspiration to know that.
Yeah.
Take us there, please. Take us there.
It's just like coming from parents divorcing, having like a lot of angst when I was younger and figuring myself out, but also sticking to the fact I really just felt like that's what I'm supposed to be doing here. So I wouldn't allow anyone to tell me what I should be doing. And, like, especially with Black parents, like my dad had a vision that he wanted for me to protect me. Like he immigrated from Jamaica, so he thought that it was safe that I have an education.
Right, of course.
That, I be into something I have interests that are actually going to be like to my job security and like to my success in that way. So him being like art, so I'll give you an example. One time I told my dad, like, I wanted to do fashion design. Like, after high school, I'm doing fashion design. That's it. He's like, yo, who do you want to work for? And I was like, yo, I want to work for Russell Simmons. I'm going to work at Fat Farm. So he brings me into his office and he actually called the Def Jam offices.
No way.
Yeah, I was in like grade 10. He actually called Def Jam and he asked.
And what was your father doing for a living at that time?
He's a welder, metal engineer. Like he's in that world and wanted me to do that. You know what I mean? So me doing like fashion and art to him, like he was supportive of me being artist, but not for a living. Does that make sense?
Got it. Of course. Yeah.
So
that's a side job.
Exactly. Like, yo, like, but this was an important lesson. So he called Def Jam. He asked to speak to Russell Simmons, and the security on the phone or the secretary was just like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So he calls him. He tried to call Russell Simmons. Secretary is like, yo, who is this? He's like, well, this is Denzel Brown. My son wants to work at Fat Farm, so you have him call me back. And the secretary was like, okay, like, and just like hung up. But my dad basically was trying to instill in me that like, if you're really about what you say, like if you really want to do these things, like apply yourself, like be for real. Like I got them on the phone.
Right.
And I was like 15 being like he actually called, like, you know what I mean? So I think those type of lessons helped me develop like this mindset of like, yo, I'm just going to go after it. But really it was just like, I didn't feel like I had, this is why I'm here. So I was just going to do that, or I was going to like try for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it has been working for you.
Yeah, but I think so, but I don't stop to think about it that way. Otherwise, like, I don't want to like rest on the laurels of like what happened or what I was able to accomplish. I'm more just like, yo, there's still more work we have to do. We have to keep going, and we have to,
Yeah, transform with the times as you have been doing.
Adaptation will save everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to even get in that state of mind, I think during this pandemic, this never-ending pandemic, because we're still going through it. A lot of people went through a phase where they had to check themselves, like, hold on, what am I doing? Or how can I, allow my creativity to be lucrative during a time where nothing is happening? It's actually really scary. So to know that, your homeware line began to kick off during that time, I want you to talk about what was going through your mind and how you said, hey, let's switch it up to design, for the homes.
I think the conscious decision, when I think back, like the conscious decision that we made was like, okay, I'm not going to Coachella.
Right.
And whatever's happening in the world is greater than me. So I have two options. Either I'm gonna find a way to see the bad in all this, or I'm just gonna like adapt and evolve with what's happening.
Okay.
And I felt like adapting and evolving was my only real option.
Right.
Like to always just adapt. Like it was either I was gonna still try and do like a clothing line and menswear line on my own, or I was gonna go on tour and try and figure out what chapter of my career I'm talking about when I was doing fashion.
Yeah.
Like what chapter of my career was gonna allow me to like evolve to the next chapter. And it was the same thing. It was like, okay, I'm in the house, I'm looking around at everything, and I start buying like rugs and looking for bedding and all this stuff to just decorate the new apartment I was in.
Right.
And then I wasn't like interested in anything I was seeing. And then I started to realize that like I was like trying to be a part of worlds that aren't mine or what lead me to like add the nuance of like Black culture to these things. Because even when, you know, I started to do the menswear line, like trying to even have like the look of like the GQ look of like the Ivy League school. Like that's not where we come from. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's not where I come from. That's not my background. So to like start putting what I actually know, like things that actually look and feel like my interests.
Yeah.
That's where things like the CD rug come from. So I was like, I hit Eva and was like, yo, I think we should do a CD rug, make it the exact design of our favorite albums, and then die cut the center, and let's see what happens. And then it ended up being impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, from those CD rugs, I know you got Lil' Kim, hardcore. You have Sade.
Mm-hmm.
When you were designing these things, was it more so based off of aesthetic and colors and, you know, the way you saw the album? Or was it just, hey, this is my favorite joint right here. Let's make this into a rug? It's
more so based on, like, it's obviously the artist and the impactful album, but then it's like which of their best projects have the best design.
Right.
And then, like with the Jay-Z one, for example, my favorite Jay album is Blueprint.
Okay.
But the gray is a more neutral tone that would work in the home.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think everyone would be able to just rock the blue with the...
Yeah.
So it was about that more so.
Okay.
We look at it like the best colors that are going to work well, and things that need reinterpreting, need recontextualizing, like an incense holder or like different kinds of bedding. Like we got reversible bedding, just things that are out there but need to have like like a refreshment to it, like a different
the
voice.
Blackness, you gotta.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the same reason why I collect the magazines and try and keep that alive, and like and there's such a need right now for intersection, like for worlds to be cross-pollinating, because like you and I are talking about home decor, and I'm on Hot 97.
Like, right.
So those are the intersections and cross-pollinating and colliding of worlds that I think need to happen for things to keep broadening and
developing in that way.
Exactly.
And it's so beautiful to see, because hip hop, you know, it's a genre that is really taking over in a way where everything that we do is kind of surrounded by it. So even with your home decor and just the beginning of your streetwear journey and things of that nature, like it's been influenced and thrown in there.
Right.
So like you said, why not, you know, bring it to a bigger space.
Exactly.
And continue creating in that light.
Because we're interested in it. Like I think that there's like this general thought that people who are interested in probably sneakers and streetwear, they wouldn't be as, I think it's like more so you're seeing it online, that's starting to change now. Yes. But there's like this assumption that people who are interested in sneakers aren't interested in home decor or their couch, but it's not true. It's just that people need to be open, like they need to be exposed to this information and to these worlds, and you know what I mean? And people who are in design and in like these elite spaces of design shouldn't be surprised when somebody walks in with Nikes, with Timbs, with an Averex jacket on. Like we like the shit too, so. Yeah,
it's all inspiration.
Exactly.
And it honestly gives other Black creatives fuel to expand and be more dynamic, because these doors are being kicked down by people like you who are, you know, growing in other dimensions.
Right.
You know? So when things started to take off with your hip hop homeware and the carpets, what was that like? Who was the first outlet to kind of take notice? And has any artist hit you up? Like, hold on.
Yeah, but I ended up meeting cool people out of it, but for the sake of I don't want to put them on blast.
Of course.
But no, when it started happening, like the Vogue and who else was there? Vogue, Yeah, dwell. Like,
Okay.
what was good was that, like, people of the culture understood, like, those, like, we'll put, we have that lighter packaging and, like, Lil' Kim lyrics. For put your
Yeah.
lighters up or on the packaging. Like, people like us understood.
Yeah.
And then people from design world were intrigued.
Yeah.
Because it was like, hang on a second, this looks different, but this also looks like what we're used to seeing, but it's got like a different touch to it. Like,
right.
so
Something they didn't tap into
exactly,
yet.
yeah.
Because
So
it's
like
a natural
dwell,
thing, right?
yeah, dwell, Vogue. It was good to just see like the broad scope of like publications like cover it, because it wasn't gonna change. Like, we were still gonna keep making it like of the culture and make it feel that way, and
Yeah. So where are you now with the brand, and how has it expanded from just carpets to, I know you have the incense holders
Yeah.
and, other furniture. Talk to me about that.
We're doing an entire line of furniture now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're gonna be coming out. We're hoping by the end of the year, like an entire line of like vinyl CD holders,
Nice.
bed heads. What else we got? Headboards, lamps, a bunch of stuff like wine holders, shelving, like a bunch of stuff. We're just gonna do like a whole line of furniture at this point. It's like grown
Nice.
into that. So
The message here, I feel today, especially within this conversation, that I really wanted to bring out too, is that there's so many different lanes that Black creatives can go through without having what they think is this formal training, and kind of really just experimenting with what they love, right? And having that umph to want to continue. So if there are any words of inspiration that you can give to, people who want to get into this game but don't really know where they fit in,
yeah,
please give us that.
it's important to have something to add to the conversation, to say something, and to just like be really interested in it, like to really care about it, because that passion will fuel like the innovation side of like what you can add to the conversation. Because a lot of it's missing, and there's so much room still and so much things to be said. We're gonna start a home decor magazine too.
Wow.
Yeah, this spring, just to keep adding to the conversation, because I think that if people really care or are interested in things like design or whatever they want to do, they should just care about it enough to just fuel the innovation and add to the conversation of what's happening in any industry, like infiltrate any industry, because I don't think the rules that we grew up thinking that there were, like, they're just not there anymore. The boundaries aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
The technology is there for us to infiltrate these spaces, and we have access to information, and we have ideas and influence.
Yeah.
So we need to infiltrate these spaces and these industries, because we have so much to say. And yeah.
That is beautiful. And that is exactly what, I wanted to get from you today, for
Perfect.
people to be inspired, right? And
Right.
even with that, you just said Curves is having you're going to come out with a magazine, a publication. That is going to employ.
It's going to be separate. It's going to be separate, but
Right.
it's going to have like the same subject matter of design, and how artists and other creators around the world, like how space informs.
Editorial.
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
that's another lane. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. And how space informs their practice and what they do. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sean, do you have anything else that you're working on that you want to plug in, or that we should be looking out for? I know you said that new designs are coming in for the home.
Yeah.
Anything else?
not that I can think of at the moment. Yeah, it's really the magazine.
It's really the
Yeah, we're
magazine.
almost done though, so it'll be out soon.
All right. Well, the industry knows that you are here to stay in every dimension, and I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
for
having
being
me.
here.
Honestly, thank you.
Of
It's an honor.
course.
Thank you.
It's Hot 97.